from right to left. It's Duke in their blue from left to right. And away we go here on Halloween night. Glad to have you with us on the ACC network. With Devin Kerr, I'm Joe Malpa. Settle in. This is it. Final day of the regular season. Kenan Vukovic gets it back into play. Along the benches on the far side, crowd still funneling in. Halloween is a massive ordeal here on campus at North Carolina. We have a ton of students down to our right. It's been good walking around, seeing all the different costumes. The mascots are all Harry Pottered up as well. Bjornsson drops it off. Duke will love a quick start. Goal scoring hasn't been there for Duke. Goalless in 366 minutes coming into the night. Some students down there, bottom left of your screen. Some have opted for the fun, some have opted for the scary. Check drops it back. Dylan Kropp. Dylan Kropp switching up that right side, looking in the realm of Bertil Rygaard Hansen. This two-striker look tonight for North Carolina. Bracken Sarah and Rygaard Hansen, the two up top.
Pleasantly surprised early on that it's not as chaotic as it normally would be. Rivalry games, a lot of emotion, energy through the roof. A lot of times managers will tell you that the nerves get to players. They start to veer away from the game plan. Not the case. Very smooth ball possession for both squads. To start, what I want to see is a lot of movement out of the Duke Blue Devils midfield. Really challenge the overall shape for the Tar Heels. Drag them all over the field because defensively, they're locked in. Carlos Samuano and the home squad, the biggest asset they have is their organization, keeping the game in front of them, recognizing their assignments.
Numbers here for Duke. Kabusu wants it down this right side. Still on here for the Blue Devils. Kabusu with it, lays it off, blocked. Still alive here for Burns, cleared. They want it quick. They know what that drought is. Coming in at 366. It's been 4 games since Duke last scored in the waning moments of their 1-1 draw against Elon. Chatting with Coach John Kerr pre-match, it's a case of a team who's aware of that and is maybe pressing a little bit, but also maybe not pressing enough. He wants that goal to come quickly tonight.
I'd say overall, watching the actual performances, you can't be overly disappointed if you're head coach John Kerr. You know, when we were down on the field pregame, Joe used the Queens example as to what is a precursor tonight for the tactical change once again. And we'll get to that in a second. They created a ton. They hit the post, really good save by the goalkeeper over the course of the night, but the confidence still not there. It's pretty absurd to say because for the first half of the season, this was the #1 statistical attacking team in the country. That's how far we've come over this stretch that has seen them fall off the face of the earth when it comes to their inability to put the ball in the back of the net.
And right before that stretch, they had a 4-0 win at home against Pitt, where that man, Ulfur Bjornsson, who you just saw wearing the captain's armband, scored twice, and it seemed like the breakout. The next game is that 1-1 draw against Elon, and then the lights went out for Duke. Here's Bjornsson, back for Hot. Here's Drew Kerr in that number 10 role again. It took a deflection. No, goal kick. How different is the look for Duke with Drew Kerr operating in the 10 versus where he's been most of the season out at left back?
The biggest thing for me on the attacking side with Drew Kerr at the 10 spot is going to be his speed and his intensity. He's a player that likes to go vertical. His first touch is always forward, so he wants to drive right at a back line. Not as creative as someone that you might get if you're looking at an Arlotti there in the 10, if you start to bump Kenan a little bit higher, which he's going to do at times, but Drew Kerr's going to drive right at the heart of that back line. I'm curious to see what the left side of this back line looks like for the Duke Blue Devils, because he has been one of the players sharpied into a lineup over there who has covered so much ground. The question for Max Simpson is going to be, can he continue to provide the same sort of output defensively with all the numbers ticking off on the odometer on that left flank?
Physical play at some point is going to ratchet up. Nick Bolser, the referee, is going to have his hands full. The crop is pulled from behind. Max Simpson anchoring it. Rakaj, physical the whole way with Dylan Kropp. And mind you, Devin, as we're talking about Duke struggles on the other side, it's a North Carolina team that has a historically good defensive setup this year in conference play. It's not going to be easy for Duke to break out of their slumber here tonight. North Carolina, though, they still are looking for some more on the attacking end of their own. As you mentioned when we came on the air, losers in 2 of the last 3. And they need a win of their own tonight to ensure a home game in the first round of the tournament this week.
Strange season for the North Carolina Tar Heels this year. If you start with their overall structure, they were a 3-back system that was really aggressive on the width, but then they lost Max Fisher at NC State earlier this season. Then they dropped into a 4, became a little bit more predictable in their overall build going forward, but defensively became absolute impenetrable. And so for a large portion of the season, it has become more reliable on the defensive side of what their structure looks like going forward. Nacho Abiel can give them a glimpse on the outside coming in. But the biggest question mark over the course of the season, though, has been who's going to get the goals up top. They've gotten production. Bracken Sarah has started to come into his own, but no real talisman to step up and throw punches every single match.
There is Bracken Sarah barking. He wasn't happy with that foul. He wanted a card shown. The grad student, 6th year, spent the last few years at the University of San Francisco. In his first year with the Tar Heels, 4 goals, 3 assists for Bracken Sarah. Brother plays for Cal, who had a bit of upheaval to begin the night. They beat Stanford, which sort of threw the whole night into disarray. Stanford needed to win that game in order to clinch the 1 seed and win the regular season title. Now they sit and wait, and they hope that results look different from North Carolina State and from Virginia, and they could still back into that 1 seed in the trophy. Otherwise, they're playing in the midweek as well.
Similar conversation for the North Carolina Tar Heels. We mentioned the left back spot and the change for Drew Kerr. What you're going to get tonight is Charlie Intimili. Allows this front line to come up high, all from the one position at the left back. It was Max Simpson earlier this year. They've rotated a couple different players. Manu got hurt 4 games back now, so within all of that, rotating pieces, defensively you've maintained the structure, but they've lost the output going forward. Big responsibility for the young men at left back tonight.
We showed you the standings when we came on the air. There's a couple of different cutoff points. The number 1 team wins the regular season trophy. They get to bye in the first round. 2 through 5 host in the first round. 6, 7, 8 also get to host in the opening round. You want to be in that position where you can host in that first round at least, but you really want top 4, which means you're not leaving your home field until it's neutral site in Cary in the last 4 of the ACC tournament. There's a couple of different cutoff points in the standings. A win for either of these programs tonight guarantees they host in the opening round. And there is an outside chance that both Duke and North Carolina could get as high as number 4 if a slew of other results went their way. Rusu tracking the ball flight. Antonelli is pressuring it. And the Swedish freshman commits the foul again, making his first start tonight, Anthony Elias. He stepped in at that position last game, looked good at times, gets the start tonight. Work back to Acito. All the way back to Demora. One update from elsewhere. There's 4 minutes left between Syracuse and NC State. That game is tied at 1. NC State with a win would have leapfrogged Stanford and been the leaders in the clubhouse, while Virginia is 0-0 at halftime with SMU. So if NC State doesn't find a winner late against Syracuse, they cannot jump Stanford anymore. The only team that could in that situation would be Virginia. Among the games that are going on at the moment, also Virginia Tech and Clemson 1-1. We'll keep you abreast of everything going on. These two teams here need Clemson to lose against Virginia Tech to have any outside chance at getting all the way up into 4th place. Devin, you and I tried, I think, as much as we could to study all the scenarios this week. I still think we only have like a 20% grasp of it all.
We need to be very, very clear that when it comes to tiebreakers and all that, how careful we have to be applying mathematics on my end. You learned that early on in our relationship.
I'm equally careful.
Yeah.
Rygaard Hansen.
Give it.
He does, but he puts it behind Abeal. Rygaard Hansen. Again for Abeal. Now Andrew Czech. 3 assists this season, the 5th year. Started 15 games for UNC coming into tonight.
I like this little pivot on the near side, moving just at the bottom left side of your screen. Nacho Abeal tucked in tight, and the rotation back over by Rygaard Hansen. Support by Anthony Elias. Good little 2v1 with the aggression that you're going to get out of Cabuso at the wing-back position. He'll continue to come high. You force him back. That starts to create a 2v1. Even if it gets man-to-man, that creates more space on the inside for your midfield for the Tar Heels to start to take advantage of.
Bjornsson up the wing for Simpson. Over top of Rakaj. Did well to keep it somewhat in the vicinity. Simpson again. Goes North Carolina's way. Clemson did just take the lead on Virginia Tech early second half. Unless they win by about 8 goals, they cannot leapfrog Stanford. The only team at the moment that can catch them is Virginia. That's if in the 90th minute Syracuse and NC State stay tied. That Clemson goal significant. Again, unless they lose, neither of these two teams can get to that 4 spot. There's other things that need to happen beside Clemson losing, but everything else is a moot point unless Clemson loses. Look at Nikolai, junior from Germany, 3 goals and 5 assists this season. Is that Ebenezer Scrooge at the bottom of the left? We're getting into Christmas season as well. There he is. He looks okay. He looks happy-ish.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
The Boy Scout.
I think that's the character from Up. I believe that's supposed to be Russell from Up.
You wouldn't know that. He's got rhythm. Rhythm's going to get him, though. Is that a minion next to him? Makeshift?
Could be. Oh, they know. They spotted it. They found the camera. That's what Halloween is all about here in Chapel Hill.
Good touch.
They want a goal to celebrate now. Rygaard Hansen did stay in play the whole way.
Really good first touch, though. Bertil Rygaard Hansen across the body, unfavored foot. Angles it so that he can slow it down onto the byline, something North Carolina have been struggling with on the attacking front.
Struggling to string much together right now in the attacking end. Rakaj has to be careful. Advantage was played there. It's the 3rd time he's come under fire from our referee. Abeal lays it off. Anthony Elias. Andrew Czech. Back for Anthony Elias. Gets end line. Cuts it back. Gives it away. Trevor Burns feels like at times there's 3 of him on the field, the spaces he pops up into in a moment like that. Bjornsson turns, Kropp commits the foul. Will he see yellow? Kerr was pleading with the referee, Nick Balser. Seems like a talking to for Dylan Kropp. I don't mind that in a rivalry game. You don't want to necessarily get yourself into hot water with a yellow early.
Well, the other thing about it for North Carolina is if he gets around Dylan Kropp, you're in trouble because of all the space that you've conceded. Berge much too far in the peripherals to be able to get over and help out. You send a message, too, to a striker that you're always going to be there. That young man, Dylan Kropp from North Carolina, MVP for me, most consistent player on the field, really aggressive on the back line, and a tactician with the ball at his feet. You will regularly see him pop off that back 4 and start to push the tempo going forward for this attack.
Kenan hot. Spelt the same way as Kenan Stadium. That's a short walk away from us. Said differently. Kenan hot again for Rakaj. Watch those two. Rakaj and Kropp have gone at it a couple of times now. Some words exchanged.
Didn't realize the referee was going to let them wear costumes on the field. Friends.
I knew where you were going with that, which is why I started laughing.
Got to get it out early.
We've been together too much. I do appreciate that the referees did don their orange and black Halloween colors.
That's the aggression I'm talking about from Dylan Kropp.
Sarah, Andrew Czech. Nearly halfway through this first half, still scoreless between Duke and UNC in the rivalry game that we all look forward to every year. This time we have to wait until the bitter end, the last day of the regular season. It's been a one-sided rivalry in recent years. Not even very recent years, over the last 20 years. 17 UNC wins, 4 Duke wins, and 5 ties. Last 2 decades, it's been all Carolina blue. Or the Duke Royal blue. In toward Bjornsson, sent skyward. Bjornsson now locates and commits the foul. So difficult to break down this North Carolina back line. I mentioned it earlier. It's on the brink of being a historically good defense in the modern era of the ACC, going back to 2013 when we saw a lot of the new teams that comprise the conference added. If they don't concede tonight, North Carolina, they would tie the record for the lowest goals against average in ACC play. And they would tie 2016 North Carolina. Something about these teams defensively. 2018 team was not far behind by 0.05.
They've certainly, over the course of the year, leaned on what their biggest asset is, right? I mentioned organization early on. Carlos Sermano, talking with him pregame on the field, talked about the margins, how tight they are. He feels like this team, because it's so structured, at times a little bit more to maneuver, because everything has to be just right in the moment. I think also the specificity by which you're operating within also gives everybody very unique jobs, but also a better understanding of what role you are to fulfill within that group, right? Yes, we'd like to see some more goals. We'd like to see a 9 step out. But there's no doubt that when you talk about the group behind the ball and the goalkeeper, that you're looking out near perfect team defensively, especially when you talk about an ACC play. What everybody looks at as the most difficult conference in all of college soccer, they've done very well for themselves on the defensive front.
Kropp, pressured again by Rakaj. That's a silky touch from the center back. Now surveys the landscape. Gives it up to Czech. Duke coming off a 2-0 defeat at NC State. Carolina off a 1-0 loss at Syracuse. Both wanting to get back on track going into tournament time. Throw that on top of wanting to beat their bitter rival. We'll get into it a bit more on halftime as well. But Duke very much need this game. It's not disqualifying from the tournament if they lose. It's not disqualifying from the tournament if they tie. But if they do lose this game and they're going on the road now in the first round of the tournament and they lose that game, now they're in hot water. If they win tonight and they're hosting a game in the midweek, they're probably getting in. But if they lose tonight, they have themselves in some hot water. North Carolina probably not in any sort of danger, but just a matter of seeding and where they could end up come tournament time. They were in that initial top 16 reveal from the committee. Lost a couple of times, though, since then to UAB and Syracuse.
North Carolina's in a weird position, too, Joe, where let's say they win here tonight, and then you're obviously hosting, and depending on how the results play out, you're in the 4 to 8 conversation. You're hosting at least one first-round game. You could play yourself back into the top 16 comp if you make a run in the tournament. There's also the possibility for North Carolina. Draw a loss tonight, draw a loss in the first round, you're still getting in, but you're on the road probably every single game in the NCAA tournament. Duke, you hit the nail on the head. Duke and pretty much every team below them in terms of the RPI. Virginia Tech, Wake, Syracuse, Pitt. You're all looking at least 2 wins. We're going to get much deeper into it at halftime. But let's just say, talked about hot water. Everybody's starting to get a little bit more than Luke this time of the season. Multiple managers already told us it's playoff time. Not even at the end of the season, it is playoff time now.
You can tell how tight it is between these teams tonight. Halfway through this first half, neither side has yet taken a shot. Forget shot on target. Neither side has attempted a shot. It's been dead even here. It was dead even in Raleigh. Finishes 1-1 between NC State and Syracuse. So that is the first lifeline for Stanford, who, because of their loss to Cal, now needed help to secure the 1 seed and the regular season title.
Good ball, that is.
On the right flank. Art Hansen cuts back in, some contact there, cleanly won by Vukovic. They missed him for a little bit there. Alexander Vukovic back out there now and making his presence known early.
Go back a second to go to the overall build. Love this ball from Callum Frogson right through the midfield. This is what I was talking about with Nacho Abel. You invert him to the inside. You drag the shape with you. The problem you run into, that ball just a little bit behind, and you're a little wide if you're Rygaard Hansen. You have to understand, it's only going one place. It's going to come direct into you. If you start that run on a bend quicker, you can step through it and cut the ball back across. These little things for North Carolina 20 yards and in are what are separating a great North Carolina team from a pretty good defensive one.
That's why, though, they can be a dangerous team in both tournaments. If that ends up switching, knowing what they are defensively, they're a tough out for anybody. Kabusu. Lost a shin guard, now got cleaned out entirely. A free kick coming for Duke. You're gesturing next to me for a card.
It's his second, that's why. Second time we've seen something like that. He understands it as well. Charlie Antonelius, and it's in from behind. You know, it's late in play. It's not reckless, but because of that quick touch, credit to Kabusu, by the way. As quick as it is, he's in from behind. The attack that could have been the leash much shorter now for Antonelius, especially because both times right in front of the referee.
Big targets up there for Duke on this set piece. Bjornsson, Vukovic, among others. Rakaj has scored in the air this year. Played quickly for Kerr, sending it toward that back post. Still loose amid the traffic there. And the whistle goes for a foul against the Blue Devils. Card coming out as well. It's yellow for Vukovic.
The credit on the step up here. Magical ball whipped in. It's so difficult for a defender tracking away from it to turn your body and try and get something on it. Of course, one of the shortest players for the Tar Heels is able to do so, Anabiel. Now the reaction as you come back up through the center back. I don't mind it from Vukovic. That's just a great reaction coming off the back line for Frogson. Center back for one, trying to make a play. Outside back for the other, doing so. No malintent, just a really good read from Callum Frogson.
Look out. Comes up back where it started for Frogson. Antonelius acres of space in front. Check. Kenny Kabusu wasn't healthy to begin this season for Duke, but ever since he's come back in, aside what he gives in the attacking end, he is so good in the 1v1 defensively.
You never find him in a situation where he's overcommitting, do you? Always has the right amount of pace, the physical side of his game, the angles to be able to lock it down. Interesting responsibility tonight as well, Joe. The midfield from North Carolina a lot more free than we're used to seeing. They're allowing Nacho Albiol to basically stay on the inside, but within that, he can still pop out. They'll release Antonelius. Andrew Czech is floating back over here as well. So if you're Jamie Kabusu, you're looking at 3 possible marks in front of you, and still with the understanding that you got to get high and provide the balance attacking-wise. Well done.
Under 20 to go in this first half, still scoreless. Glad to have you with us here from Dorrance Field in at Chapel Hill. Alongside Devin Kerr, I'm Joe Malva. Happy to have you with us on the ACC Network. Those of you that are joining us following the conclusion of volleyball, we're about, 50-odd yards away from volleyball. Let's take a walk outside into the brisk Halloween evening air. Welcome those of you who are taking in the conclusion of volleyball, about 50 yards this way outside now at Dorrance Field in Chapel Hill with Devin Kerr. I'm Joe Malfa. The good news for those of you just joining us on the ACC Network, you haven't missed much yet. Neither side has yet registered a shot in this scoreless score line here on Halloween night, and this is the first corner of the evening for the Tar Heels. So these two teams were waiting for you. Now let's see if we wake things up here in the final 18 minutes of this first half. Traffic in front of Demora. Floated backside of the 6, headed square, loose near the spot, and out for a goal kick.
That's sort of been the story of the game, hasn't it? Near defensive perfection for both teams. Any opportunities that have come out, half chances at best. No one really willing to take a risk popping off the back line just yet, but clean decision making overall, crisp passing, physical match to start.
A lot has already transpired tonight in the ACC. We'll show you the standings in a moment. How it impacts this game here. Throw coming for the Tar Heels.
We talked about physicality. This is a big boy tackle. Good step over here. It's not just the fact that you make a tackle in that moment. That's a risk. Because if you're Comradecito, you got to cover 25 yards, drop space behind you, which leaves your only remaining center back isolated after your other Vukovic get pulled up high. Great read by Comradecito for Duke.
A couple of changes coming in on the UNC side. Ken Klink, the freshman, has started scoring as of late. He replaces Gabe Bracken-Sarah. Teal Rygaard Hansen will come off as well. A swap of both strikers for North Carolina. Ryan Dugan, the other, coming on. Off the long throw. And right back where it came from. kept alive down that side for Nikolai. Luka Nikolai centering, clearing Osito. And blasted all the way down by Olfer Bjornsson.
Not surprised with the change by head coach Carlos Zamora from North Carolina. Both strikers that he'd been brought on, a little bit more natural in nature. They want to force the game. They want to chase an open space at what the game calls for. Bracken Sarah, more of a combination player. They don't have that link up right now. The midfield too deep. Sandmeyer and Czech down underneath, and Nacho Albiol isolated by himself. It's calling for more directivity of play. They provide that.
Deflected into the costume-clad student section down over there. Look at the updated ACC standings. You've got Clemson right now sitting in that 4 spot. You want to be top 4. It means you don't travel until there's the neutral site Final 4 in the ACC tournament. Both these teams with a win could creep as high as number 4, but they need Clemson to lose plus other help. And they're not getting that help right now. Clemson up 3-1 beyond the hour mark on Virginia Tech. Further up that list, Ricaj doesn't get there ahead of Burge, but further up that list, Stanford with a win tonight would have clinched a 1 seed, would have won the regular season title. They lost at Cal, and it opened the door for other teams. One of those teams failed to walk through that door. NC State with a win could have jumped top of the table. They tied Syracuse. And right now, Virginia tied 0-0 with SMU in the 62nd minute. That would be enough to win the regular season title and come into the tournament as the 1 seed with the bye. All they need now is a draw. Subs coming as Arlotti replaces Ricard. The trio coming here. Jose Ortega for Jamie Kabusu. And Leo D'Ambrosio for Olfer Bjornsson. John Kerr wanting to shuffle the deck up top. Long throw coming from Drew Kerr. Still a quarter hour remaining now in this first half, scoreless. D'Ambrosio slips through. D'Ambrosio looking for instant impact, pulls it wide.
Now the chess match starts between both managers. Just talked about the changes for North Carolina and Carlos Zamora. John Kerr, the head coach of the Duke Blue Devils, he's trying to create more combination play within the midfield because it's basically been set pieces like this or strikes from afar. Arlotti comes in, gives you the ability to create a 2-man 10 system down underneath. Releasing D'Ambrosio, you can also bump Ortega up high. They have the flexibility on the right flank and the right striker position to interchange with each other.
Klink wins it. Right back to D'Ambrosio. Slips through. Ortega. Puts it right back, left it long for Arlotti. Tenelius just gets rid of it. Freshman making his first start for the Tar Heels, has played in 7 games off the bench coming in. Burns. Ortega. Along to Kerr, wants it on his left foot. He has it there, lays it back through the middle, and it's off the post! First a save from Cordes, touched it onto the post. Still on though for Kerr. Burns. Now D'Ambrosio calming it down, floating it. Able to get it over Dylan Kropp. And a foul against the Blue Devils ends the threat, but the first real moment for Duke.
Exactly the space we were just talking about, the release on the inside. You're trying to create a mismatch numerically. Notice the space on either side, just the center portion of your screen. Jack Sandmeyer in a 3v1 situation. Clean decision-making from Burns to the outside. This is a really difficult ball for him to pick back up coming through. Great job reaching back across. No chance because of the proximity and the pace that's on it. Goalkeeper's getting to it. Denied by the woodwork. Great exchange, though, by the Duke Blue Devils.
Abel tried to get fancy with it there and just gave it away. Game coming to life now in the last stretch of this first half.
Now you stay with it, though. That's good understanding by Burns on the inside. Kenan Hott was able to stay. It's those two, and now it's just in front. Drew Kerr gets the brunt of it, but you need one of the strikers on the front, whether it's Arlotti or Ortega, to drop down underneath and release in. Creates a 4v1, creates a 4v3, 4v2. All you're looking for is that extra man advantage in the central locations to help your cause going forward.
Free kick coming for Duke. Prop has been involved in a lot of these. There's again a clamoring from the Duke side to finally show a card for persistent infringement. Long leash from Nick Balls for the referee. Only yellow so far belongs to Alexander Vukovic on the Duke side. That's 10 fouls already against North Carolina. Expect that sort of physical play in this rivalry. Free kick to the end line. Vukovic got above everybody else, but also put it well above the goal. Change coming now for North Carolina. Nacho Albial will have a seat. Luis Vera takes his spot. A little bit of good news right now for Duke. Wake Forest is thrashing Notre Dame. It's 3-0 in that game at the moment. So if Duke were to lose here, as long as Notre Dame also still loses, Duke backs into a home game in the first round of the ACC tournament. And North Carolina in that scenario with a win would also host. So that's one of the specific scenarios in which both of these teams would host in the opening round of the tournament.
On the backside of it, Wake Forest, what a win that would be for them. Recognizing that Notre Dame right in that 30 number on the RPI, it is literally fluctuating by the minute. When you talk about strength of schedule, what your overall body of work is. But Wake definitely on the outside of postseason play right now in the NCAA tournament. A win helps kind of push that narrative a little bit further and gives them some momentum to grab a second heading into the ACC tournament. It's crazy to think about the season that we've had in the ACC.
Oh,
you know, this is
down.
Every single year we're talking 8, 9 teams. There's a crazy world that maybe only 5 get in, depending on how the results shake themselves out. Wake was 1 at one point in time this year.
Kenan Hot, the give and go, settling. Kenan Hot still with it. Hot! A brilliant signature moment for Kenan Hot!
Unreal. Kenan Hot. He's seen a little bit of everything. The journey to the Elite Eight back in 2022. The change in the midfield, the strikers, and yet he has remained the constant. His positioning, everything. The balance between he and Burns. As he releases, Burns stays. There's the mismatch once again. It's a late arrival. The over-rotation by Czech on the outside. He can't drop back in quick enough. Perfect first touch. Sublime second. And a little bit of love on the third to give Duke the lead.
Officially in the 37th minute of this game. So Duke's scoreless drought eclipsed 400, just barely. 403 minutes without a goal, and the drought finally over. They rely on their senior, his 7th of the year. And they double down here right before halftime with momentum. Continuing on, D'Ambrosio, he's had an impact since coming on as a substitute. Kerr cuts it back. End line for Kerr. Line for the Tar Heels, hold strong. Alive. Therefore, Arlotti never pulled the trigger. Hesitant. Allow the Tar Heels to close. As it stands, with this scoreline, North Carolina would be on the road to open up the ACC tournament. Virginia Tech, by the way, has roared back. That game is now 3-3 against Clemson. So if Virginia Tech end up with their momentum at home in Blacksburg, beating Clemson, then the door opens for Duke to end up top 4. We said buckle up coming into the night, and there were so many permutations. We tried. We couldn't make sense of most of it. Here we are. Strange things happen on Halloween.
What a mess. Honestly, the season overall
in the best of ways.
Absolute mess in the best of ways. You talk to any of the managers, never seen anything like it. Coming down to the final day where literally every position in the table, outside of the bottom 2, affected. One result after another. The ability for 3 separate teams to take home the regular season ACC title. Too many mathematical permutations to actually figure out who's going to be in the top 4 or the top 8. Who actually wants to be able to host a spot, given current form overall?
The last of which in those scenarios for the number 1 spot that you bring up was the one that we expected to be at right now. Stanford loses to a Cal team.
2 weeks ago, it was almost assured that Stanford was going to walk right through and be the number 1 spot.
Beyond that, Syracuse has been pesky this year, but they've struggled on the road versus at home. They go into Raleigh and tie an NC State team that has been downright dominant. So now the door is open for Virginia to win the conference regular season title with just a draw against SMU and 20 minutes to go. So the conference winner gets the 1 seed, the trophy, and gets a bye in the opening round. Essentially, if you're the 1 seed, you know that you're playing a home game in the quarterfinals. You win that game, you're going to carry the last 4 of the ACC championships.
Carolina just need more balance on the width of the field. The way that they started with Nacho Abial, who's on the bench, and now Luis Vera. This over pivot on the left, I really like. The problem is you have to have the complement at the left's back spot, which is that man on the ball right there, Antonelius. If he doesn't pop up high, it's a one-man game, either on the front line or the midfield to jump out. If you do that, Joe, then you're asking someone else to come up into the middle or pop onto that front line. They're not good enough attacking-wise, the Tar Heels, to be able to pull that off. So instead, a little bit more aggression from the left side of this team gives you that extra boost you need going forward. All goes back to balance.
At halftime, we'll take a look around the conference, start previewing the tournament. We'll start previewing not only the ACC tournament, but also the bubble teams in the RPI for the NCAA tournament at large. How the ACC teams might be impacted by today's results and what's still ahead in the tournament. Tar Heels looking for a response before halftime to change that discussion just a little bit. Comfortably back for Demora, who gets rid of it. Simpson looks long. And doing the current iteration of the lineup for Duke, and no Bjornsson and no Rakaj up top. They don't necessarily have somebody who's going to get out and run and latch on to the end of one of those long balls. Simpson giving chase here. He's played as a right winger, as a left winger. He's the de facto striker at the moment. Urge to Froxson. Nikolai, brought down. Tenelius. Switch towards Simpson. And Tenelius. Andrew check. It's been a little bit slow and indecisive for North Carolina in the build. Final minute of this first half. Masito comes over. Battle along the sideline, and a battle it's been in this first half between these two sides. Duke leading 1-0 on the Kenan hot goal in the 37th minute officially. Going to get away. Clock's going to wind down. Blue Devils are going to be taking a 1-0 lead into the break. Coming into the night, it was win and earn a home game in the tournament. Well, the scenario has changed because of some other results, but Duke hasn't changed their heading. Kenan Hott gets the goal in the 37th minute. It has the Blue Devils ahead 1. Virginia is up 1-0 on SMU, so they officially will be your regular season champion and the 1 seed in the tournament. Hope you got all that. Some of it may still change now coming in the second half where we're underway at Dorrance Field. Jamie Kabusu back out there now. He was subbed off in that first half for Duke. In the later stages, Jose Ortega took his spot. Jorgensen in there as well on the Duke side. Alexander Vukovic has come out of the lineup for the Blue Devils. Waiting for a final whistle between Virginia Tech and Clemson. Again, that's significant. Virginia Tech scores and wins. It's 3-3 in the 90th minute. If Virginia Tech wins, then and only then can Duke possibly catapult up to 4 and host twice in the tournament. Here's Kenan Hott. Already produced that signature moment earlier, as you mentioned, Devin, his only goal against ACC competition. Part of that is just positionally where he's played in the past. A more advanced role this year, Kenan Hott. Now 7 goals and 4 assists coming into the season. Had 1 goal and 1 assist in his career. Something could be on here for Rakaj Bjornsson. Worm burner wide.
How's the season, by the way, just to cap off your acknowledgement of the Cavaliers with dying embers remaining in their game against SMU, up 1-0. We talked Nick Simmons, Humberto Pela, the transfer Dos Santos coming over from Boston College, Jesus De Vicente. They've got a little bit of everything, right? And it's another freshman, Bakari Tanjagora, the midfielder, who currently has the game-winning goal. Again, the season, top to bottom in the ACC, has been absolutely insane.
With Stanford faltering today against Cal, a win like that for Virginia, based on some other results around the country, could possibly vault Virginia up to number 1 in the coaches poll. Depends if Maryland falters tonight. Otherwise, the number 2 Terrapins will be jumping up to number 1. But there's a chance Virginia could end up as the number 1 team in the ACC going into the tournament. Actually, that's pretty much fact at this point, even though the final whistle hasn't gone yet. And they could end up as the number 1 team in the country going into tournament time in the coaches poll. They're down to 20 seconds in that game. Virginia and SMU. And again, they could only end up anywhere but the 1 seed with a loss. So unless SMU's got 2 goals in 20 seconds in them, Virginia Cavaliers, your regular season champions, and your 1 seed. Given what we've seen so far, who knows?
Virginia Tech already pulled a rabbit out of the hat tonight. Why not?
Cito, that's his goalkeeper, Demora, come to retrieve it. And that is officially final. Virginia 1, SMU 0. Cal beat Stanford earlier. NC State and Syracuse tied 1-1. Those 3 teams were your 3 teams who could have lifted the trophy for the regular season today. And it's the Cavaliers who come away with the piece of hardware. You and I, Devin, saw them in person once this year in Charlottesville. It was when they took it to Wake Forest. Total domination on a night where Wake Forest was still unbeaten, still number 1 in the country. Ever since then, Virginia has not looked back. They win the regular season title. Kabusu. Forced wide. Delivery toward Rakaj. Gathered by Cortez. Still just waiting on a final whistle between Virginia Tech and Clemson. If and when that comes, it does solidify your top 4. I just received word the final whistle went there. So your top 4 is solidified. Stanford is going to end up looking up at Virginia, remember, because of that loss to Cal. So it's Virginia, it's Stanford, it's NC State, and it's Clemson. Your top 4 teams. Virginia gets the bye. Those other 3 teams in Stanford, NC State, and Clemson all are guaranteed to host the first round, and if they get there, the quarterfinals. So those 3 teams will not be going on the road until they have to travel to Cary for the last 4 of the ACC championships. That comes up here on Rakaj.
Recognizing we're just a couple of minutes in here in the second half, Joe. And there hasn't been exactly a barrage from either team on the attacking side of the ball. I've really enjoyed both freshmen at the left back position. Antonilius, the young man who's come in, got his first start for North Carolina, and Carlos Semoano, and Max Simpson, who's seen the starting lineup before, but tonight taking the position from Drew Kerr at the left wingback spot. Defensively been locked down, good presence, moving up high and providing support on the width of the field for the Blue Devils.
Tar Heels now need to win in order to get a home game of their own this week. Fall seasons roll on, and we have 2 more ACC championships for you right here on ACC Network. Women's soccer first round coverage gets underway Sunday with Louisville Duke at 6 Eastern, followed by Virginia and Florida State. Plus, field hockey quarters begin Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern in Louisville, with the other 3 matches following at 12:30, 3:30, and 6 Eastern. Catch it all on the ACC Network and the ESPN app.
My wife's going to be very happy with me finally getting a day off, going home and locking in on the field hockey championships.
You and I have learned a lot about field hockey this year.
Yeah, I'm being a massive fan. Who knew until this year you were only able to use one side of the stick?
Again, I can't fault you because my wife played field hockey and I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. I got 3 boys at home. What do you want from me?
You check upfield. Bracken Sarah looking through for Rygaard Hansen. Dangerously back to Demora, unable to really do much with it, but did salvage the moment. It's a throw, not a corner. Duke had a 403-minute goalless drought snapped when Kenan scored in the 37th minute. It's been 1-0 ever since. Tar Heels chasing. A lot of traffic out in front. Ball still loose. It's saved, made to the near post by Demora. I don't know how or when he finally saw that ball, but he kept it out.
Really difficult here by Demora because he has to account for so many different bodies in front of him. The vision is clogged, and instead you're very reactionary in nature, which is exactly how he makes this save. Just a good foundation in front of him. Strong core to be able to get low.
Simpson split the difference on Bjornsson and Rakaj. And it's that new look up top tonight for a Duke team that, as I mentioned, had a 400-minute goalless drought. John Kerr trying to shake things up, putting Bjornsson with Rakaj in a two-striker look, moving Drew Kerr underneath them as the 10. Hasn't quite worked out. They've actually been at their most dangerous when they've reverted away from that after those first half subs. But here goes Bjornsson, stopped in his tracks by the foul.
I'll take it, though, from Bjornsson. More pressure. Start to frustrate this back line. He's become a bit slow in his rotation overall. You know, watching Ulfur Bjornsson coming into the season, what was one of the most talked about strikers, not in the ACC, in the entire country, and it hasn't panned out that way. Now, he had an injury earlier on. His confidence is lacking. But you referenced something specific in the first half that John Kerr told us how he'd like him to be a little bit more aggressive and press differently. What I see is frustration positionally where he's chasing plays. And he's really good with the ball at his feet. So what ends up happening is he's getting involved in the run of play more, but he's not as impactful because he's drifting away from this front line. He's got to be that centerpiece up top, constant pressure. You unlock more space down underneath, but eventually you're the recipient of the high line of pressure, personnel in advanced positions, and balls being whipped into the box.
Got to help defensively now with his big body on what's going to be a long throw launched in toward Demora, flicked on. Not fully clear yet. Now it is. Bjornsson's had an interesting year. He had a double ankle injury. Both were hurt at the same time early in the year. That cost him some time. And then coming back from that, it took a little while to get up to full fitness. Had that breakout against Pitt, scoring twice. Then everything went away offensively for Duke shortly thereafter. 1-1 tie after that against Elon, then 4 games without a goal. Loaded in over everybody. Now to play. Our Week 10 ACC Network Saturday football lineup at noon. Duke takes on Clemson, then Pitt takes on Stanford. Finally, FSU hosts Wake Forest at 7:30 Eastern. All 3 games also available on the ESPN app.
Still amazes me that we have the ability sit down, you and I here, beautiful venue, prepping for this great rivalry, throw on the SMU Cal game. Technology's brilliant.
Simpson, back post, the run's there. The finish isn't.
Better build overall from the Duke Blue Devils. Keep talking about balance on the width for both of these teams. Love the side to side, and this is what I was talking about. You want to drop down in and be the playmaker, that's fine, but then you have to release. A little bit slow from Ulfur Bjornsson on the right side, and the 2 runs then have to account for his deep positioning. Rakaj and Drew Kerr both crashing the box, both on the same plane, both getting in the way. Now you have options, but you would much rather that be your striker coming back into the conversation as opposed to 2 makeshift midfielders trying to work into the 9 spot.
Duke finding his second, and creating some breathing room would be huge. We haven't mentioned it yet. I want to make sure it goes noticed, the hard work you put in. That 4-game goalless drought for Duke, that hadn't happened since 1940.
We're hoping to get to it in the first half selfishly. Kenan had other ideas. He said, hold my Halloween costume. I'm going to show you boys what I'm all about. Pre-World War, think about that. I mean, that's how long it had been since the Duke Blue Devils had gone 4 games scoreless. Now, the winless drought is a different conversation. Removing the COVID era, 2019 was the last time they had a 5-game stretch where they were not able to pull out a victory. They went 0-4-1. Now, they turned it around. Certainly wasn't a great year for them in 2019, but a little bit more recent in history compared to what FDR was going through.
Gas was 18 cents back then. Must be nice.
Were your parents alive? Mine weren't.
I'll do you one better. My paternal grandparents weren't alive.
I can tell you the legend next to us, our great statistician, Freddie Kiger. He was in the house. Not this house, but you know, he was getting there.
I gotta be doing some math there. Yeah, my maternal grandparents were around. Paternal grandparents were not. Parents, for sure not.
My dad was 1943, so
he just missed it.
He was thinking about hanging out,
yeah.
But you know, hadn't fully been invited to the party.
Here's Simpson. Bjornsson wanted it in space, got it. Now what does he do with it? He's down holding that ankle. It's always a concern for him. As I mentioned a few moments ago, it was a double ankle injury. He had it on both sides. That cost him time early in the year.
Just slow the way that he comes down on it right here. That looks like more being stepped on than his overall ankle. I was with you initially. I thought he rolled it. The good news is that the Duke Blue Devils have stabilized the left side of this back line. You never want to lose an impactful player in Alexander Vukovic, but the pace became an issue in the first half. More importantly, picked up a yellow card, and with the transitional nature of the game, you had to bring in Bill Jorgensen to slow it down. Done a nice job within that back three of doing so.
Kerr polishing off the ball, ready for a long throw. We've seen him launch one toward the penalty spot, and of course he goes short this time to Bjornsson. Back to Kerr, drives it out of play. What buttons are there to push if you're Carlos Somoano for a North Carolina team that, again, has had their calling card be the defensive side all year? Now you need a goal in the next 31 minutes. You need 2 goals, as a matter of fact, if you want to host a tournament game next week in the ACC. What button does he have to push?
2 that both work off of each other. Same conversation we had in the first half, which Carlos Somoano will have reiterated to them in the dressing room and is giving them the feedback real time. It's the left side of this team. You've got to come higher. He's talking to him right now. Antonilius has to come higher, release Abial. You have to create an imbalance from the Duke Blue Devils. That one singular position. Left back comes high, Abial comes in. Just like the mismatch we talk about for the Duke Blue Devils against Carolina in the midfield, that is the key to unlocking everything else in front of you. If one doesn't complement the other, you're hanging the first one out to dry.
Easier said than done, though, the way Duke is playing defensively right now. Over the top from Nikolai. Check, centering. Cito heads it clear. Settled by Rygaard Hansen. Check goes down, looking for a call. Didn't seem like much contact in that.
Definitely not enough for a foul. Hansen behind, takes advantage of the contact itself. Just to cap off that conversation about the left side for North Carolina, people may think it's repetitive in nature or focusing on just one spot. But within the left into the midfield, you become predictable if you don't release over there, Joe. If we think about everything that has gone on in this game now that we approach the hour mark, any service or high line of movement, all down the right-hand side. Duke Blue Devils are going to recognize that as well. Makes it easier defensively to recognize where the tendency is coming from and eliminate those threats.
Kabusu steps. Won by the Tar Heels. Abial. Check. Works it through. Rygaard Hansen. Duke's just doing such a good job in their defensive recovery, not allowing any moments for UNC.
What a ball.
Transitionally good ball there. Foul ends it. It just feels like every time UNC finds a sliver of space, all of a sudden Duke is back in shape and they've got 3 defenders fronting up against them.
The problem is, though, is that even though this is an insane ball coming in, it takes about 5 too many touches in order to do so. That ball the first time needed to be whipped in, and instead you've triangulated 3 players who are trying to find a seam. You didn't need to find one. It was there on that first ball in. So as you slow the game down, defensively, the structure changed for the Blue Devils. You get more numbers behind the ball. Most importantly, as a defender, you keep the game in front of you. You're able to adjust on the fly for whatever the Tar Heels throw at you.
Oh. Look at Nikolai holding his face. Simpson is shown a yellow. Second overall yellow of the game. The other goes to Vukovic on the Duke side.
It's the first mistake that we've seen from the freshman Max Simpson. Starting at this left wing back position. Really clean decisions overall tonight. Just a little slow in his reaction, stepping up against Luka Nikolai. That's the other great thing. We've talked about both left backs. You never, as a manager, Joe, want your players to reinvent the game, especially for the younger ones. And in rivalry games, the physicality, the emotion, you haven't been through it, that can rattle their overall performance. Just slow it down, one foot in front of the other, and both of them have been excellent so far tonight.
Intensity is starting to palpably pick up a bit, even from the crowd down on this side of the field where most of the students are located, clad in their Halloween costumes. Check. Looking wide, cut off. Zabinko, a heavy touch, almost gave it right back, now has some space. Kenan hot, turns Rakaj. Bjornsson, hot, a goal scorer in the 37th minute. Can he do it again? Hot, and his pocket picked. There was a player on this field who you thought would have a moment tonight. It'd be Kenan Hot, the senior in this rivalry. Authors his signature moment that's still holding up as the winning goal. And Duke's situation has shifted. Now, regardless of the result, because of Notre Dame's loss, they will be hosting a game in the midweek. Because Clemson picked up a point, they can't get up to 4. The ball played in behind here. That one not so much, looking for Rygaard Hansen. So Duke is locked into that sort of no man's land where they cannot be top 4, but they will host a game this week. Just whether they finish 5, 6, 7, that's still up for grabs. But North Carolina have to win in order to host a game this week. Cornelius, the long throw. Bounces all the way through and actually stayed in. We're looking over at the assistant referee. That ball's in play. Whistle never blew. The referee's trying to tell them right now that that ball is in play. North Carolina never noticed it. Now they do. If they were alert to that, this could be a 1-1 game. Duke had no idea that that ball was still in play, but to be fair, neither did North Carolina. Rygaard Hansen. Now a foul goes against the Tar Heels. Crowd doesn't like it. There's been a few physical plays down this end that the crowd felt should have been a free kick for the Tar Heels. Now one goes against UNC. The man in the yellow hat curious. George nowhere to be found. Change for Duke. Jose Ortega comes back in. He replaces Ari Rakaj, whose day is done. Something else we really haven't touched on. Now it's starting to become a possibility. 25 and change to go. Duke hasn't won a road game this year. We showed that to you top of the broadcast. That's why they desperately needed a win tonight, so they could host in the tournament. They've yet to come on the road and win. This could be a first for them this season tonight. Kabusu turns on the Jets, centers it. Drew Kerr opens up. He's so left-footed. It was difficult, though. I know you want to put it on your better foot there, but that's one where you just close your eyes, hit it with the right, and see what happens. Simpson. Ortega. Burns, lost it. Rygaard Hansen puts it behind Bracken Sarah. A lot of those moments in this game where UNC seemed to be on the brink of a breakout, but one pass, all of a sudden everything goes the other way. Player down in the midfield, Sandmeyer for North Carolina. Sandmeyer is donning a face mask. He has a facial injury. Looks like he's fidgeting around with that mask. Hope all's well. For an injury that we know already exists. It's one of the more interesting stories around the conference this year, Jack Sandmeyer. Started his career at UC Davis in 2021. Then took a 3-year gap. Didn't play in 22 or 23. He was playing on the intramural club route at San Diego. He switched from UC Davis to San Diego to be closer to home. All of a sudden, goes from playing club at San Diego to walking onto the team to being second team all WCC to transferring into the ACC for his final year of college soccer. And has been a stalwart in the midfield starting every game for the Tar Heels. Hasn't moved from that position. Again, you can't see it the way now you can. That mask he's wearing, he had a facial injury and he has been holding his face. That is not just a Batman costume here on Halloween. He has a significant injury that he's playing through.
I mentioned earlier the consistency of performance on the back line of Dylan Krupp. Not far removed from that conversation is Jack Sandmeyer, the grad student. Incredible this year for Carlos Zamorano. Gives everybody else in front of him such a luxury of his ground coverage. Certainly his acrobatic displays, physical side that he brings to the game. I just like how quick his release is with the ball coming off his foot. He's not going to wow you with these 40, 50-yard balls, but it's the simplicity of his game that's impressive.
Check. Looking through. Who's an awesome, the crowd. Nikolai. No, to nobody in particular. Bjornsson gets it out toward midfield. Halfway through this second half. Glad to have you with us from Dorrance Field with Devin Kerr. I'm Joe Malfa. Duke leads 1-0. 101st installment of this rivalry meeting between these two programs. Last day of the ACC regular season. North Carolina has to come from behind and win this in order to host a game in the tournament this week in the first round. Duke now is already clinched that because of Notre Dame's loss earlier. They could climb a couple of spots should they hold on to wins. All other results in the ACC are now final. Virginia, regular season champions and the 1 seed. NC State, Clemson, and Stanford, 2, 3, and 4. Important because they know they're not traveling until it's to carry for the Final Four of the ACC tournament otherwise. Works all the way through. Laid off by Bracken Sarah. Shot blocked as Abeal efforted. And out for a corner. Second corner for North Carolina.
The makeshift bounces has sort of been the attack on the year for North Carolina. Like Bracken Sarah in that moment, just be more relentless. Be selfish. Go for it yourself. He's so good with the ball at his feet and adjusting to create for others. But his direct tenacity is what's going to separate this team. They need that complement. Rygaard Hansen has the speed. He's willing to run and chase and work off of him. You're getting service from the outside, but you need someone up top to be lethal. And these tight windows they're working with.
As it stands, North Carolina would be traveling to South Bend to take on Notre Dame. Duke would be hosting Virginia Tech.
The argument there, Bjornsson is the contact just prior, not enough in the moment, and I'm with him. That's both sides sort of jockeying for position, and second one getting caught with your hand in the cookie jar. Didn't think it was a foul on either.
Tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, the ACC Huddle Crew will be at SMU to get you ready for another full day of football with a 2-hour pregame show. We'll have game previews along with expert analysis and featured stories right here on the ACC Network and the all-new ESPN app. Look over the shoulder from Luka Nikolai, touches it back. Frogson, just over 20 to play. Luka Nikolai. Continue to be right side heavy, as you alluded to earlier, Devin, but a free kick coming from it now.
The second part of the equation that's popped out of it is they become a little bit narrow on this right side. So no width overall. You can still build through it, but don't have any overlapping runs coming. They're not going to release Callum Frogson like that. He's too much of a staple on the back line, so that's pressure on Nikolai to either stay there or, if he pivots in, an understanding from Czech or Rygaard Hansen on the front line to get out. Better communication as you push down in to release off of each other and give an option on the width.
Nikolai delivering. That's one he'll want back. Demora gave a big fist pump in the goal. Every moment like that now where it could have been a chance for the opposing team that goes by the wayside, Duke can feel it. They are on the brink of a win in this rivalry game, and those wins have been hard to come by in recent years. Last 20 years, since 2005, Duke has only beaten North Carolina 4 times compared to 17 North Carolina wins and 5 ties. It's been rare for the Blue Devils. Frogson to Nikolai. They continue to favor this right side. David, could it be a matchup they're looking to exploit on the Duke defense on the left side, or it's just a tendency in forcing it right now for North Carolina?
Tendency. You know, the matchup early on could have been, okay, we see Max Simpson on the lineup sheet. Is he going to play up high or is he going to play low? Well, then when they see Drew Kerr coming in, they would isolate what is a junior against a freshman. We're far removed from that conversation. Now it's just an understanding that you're coming to the right, you're coming to the right. You've got to work away from it. And that sequence a second ago, really good look at it. Frogson wanted him higher. Unfortunately, Nikolai just too tight. And the narrowness of it all is really what is slowing the game down. Be sensitive to the fact also, Luka Nikolai is one of the staples in a lineup. Every single game just turns over. As the miles go, his legs are getting tired towards the tail end of this match.
Here he is, getting it back from Rygaard Hansen. Nikolai poked away. They met it at the same time, Abeal and Kabusu. Rygaard Hansen cut off by Jorgensen. Foul against UNC. Beside everything it means for Duke, personally beating a rival, earning a home game in the tournament. Remember, as we talked about earlier, this is a team that if they would have lost tonight and lost their opening round tournament game, they could have been on the outside of the NCAA tournament looking in. So this is a massive win for Duke if they hold on to it. Nikolai has started hobbling a little bit after that last challenge. Keep an eye on that for UNC. Sarah. Good step by the freshman Zabinko. In behind to Rygaard Hansen, foot race. Jorgensen was there, so too is the keeper Demora. Demora goes down.
He's not going to win an Emmy, nor Tony, certainly not. In line for an Academy Award. There is contact after the fact, though. Watch the hands from Rygaard Hansen. Not his leg, though, and not enough after the fact to take a look or be a foul.
You didn't mention Grammy, though. I guess he's still in the running for that.
Sing a little louder.
On the long throw, it's flashed over the bar. It feels like that's what it's going to take now for North Carolina. A messy moment. And something like that, a free kick, a throw in to just get it in, because they're chasing this goal from Kenan Hot in the 37th minute, still holding up as the would-be winner.
What a strike it was. Pure advancement and overload centrally. We just saw one from Burns. This time, 4 players that have converged atop the 18 for the Duke Blue Devils. Like a heartbeat, pushing it in on one end, the flex out on the other. Tenacious in the moment. Talent never a question for Kenan Hahn. And what is the glory for the Blue Devils on the road so far tonight?
Three changes for North Carolina, 2 changes for Duke. Bjornsson has been replaced by, or rather he's still out there. They held on to that one. Arlotti feeds it wide. Looking back across toward Arlotti and Bjornsson. It's out for a corner. Max Simpson came off for Arlotti. Trevor Burns came off for Thomas Vold. Ryan Dugan back in up top for North Carolina. This is the first corner of the night for Duke. Team that leads Division I in corners per game. Understanding some of that was inflated by their game against Averett, which they won 10-0. Kenan hot delivers. Bjornsson camped under it. Vold lays it off. A lot of traffic in front. And sent upfield by Mayanja. Under 15 remaining at Dorrance Field. Final 15 minutes of the ACC men's regular season. Check. Mayanja tried to turn. First time we're seeing him in this game. Abubakar Mayanja, freshman from Uganda, has played just 85 minutes this season. Hot. Gets it from Ortega. Back to Ortega. To the end line that it deflects. It sounded like it did, but referee points for a goal kick. College basketball season tips off Monday, and we got you covered with a doubleheader right here on the ACC Network. Number 25, North Carolina, hosts Central Arkansas at 7 Eastern, followed by number 11, Louisville, hosting South Carolina State. It is November tomorrow. It is weird, but we are in basketball season already. Kabusu striding to the end line. Great tackle put in by Kropp. It is out for a corner. Second for Duke.
Love the engine we've gotten out of Kabusu. He just continues to amaze what he's got in the tank. The best work rates, the Duke Blue Devils, and certainly had his fair share defensively to handle, albeit more tracking to the interior. The fluctuation to the inside by the Tar Heels. Hard to maintain your positioning as a defender out wide when you're doing that.
Effective from Drew Kerr. He went down to tie his shoe. About 7 seconds came off the clock before the referee stopped the clock. Every second counts. 7 came off. Kerr chested down by Kropp. Back out for a throw.
Masquerading as a Swiss time maker for Halloween. It's well done. I don't think the Scottish roots are going to enjoy that at Thanksgiving dinner, but get through this game with a result, his dad will be more than happy.
You're invited? You got the family invite this year?
No, I missed it again. It's unfortunate. Next year, maybe.
Ball spun awkwardly out of the hand of Kerr. Gets back to him.
Good touch.
Good step by Kabusu. Cutting off Mayanja. Kabusu. For Bjornsson battling. Under 12 to play. Big tackle there. Sandmeyer might see yellow finally. He's been involved in a number of these challenges, and the card's out of the pocket. Acito coming over for a word. Yellow in his mind, not enough. He needs some words with Sandmeyer. The captain backed off now.
More than frustration here for Jack Sandmeyer. He's just stepping through in the moment. Tired legs. Chasing ghosts all night long, and wants to use the emotion to his advantage. Late for sure. I love Kenan out, by the way. Watch him step in and immediately, as he sizes up Jack Sandmeyer, probably not the best opponent you want to toe the line with.
This is not quite the difference between me and you, but let's close. Sandmeyer listed at 6'6". Kenan hot, 5'10".
On a good day.
Demora just sends it as far away from his own goal as he can. Fox Frogson shielding. Oh, he got a piece of that, Bjornsson. Well done. Out for a throw instead of a goal kick.
One of the issues you're going to run into now with just outside 10 minutes to go, the tactical change that has pushed Drew Kerr over to this left side. I mentioned ground coverage in the first half and how much of a luxury he provides compared to Max Simpson. They're going to give him the freedom to go. So within that, you push back even further the idea of Luka Nikolai playing the high line. When Ortega comes to this side of the field, real quick, you'll see this pendulum that swings left to right. You get balanced defensively, but also you're making the Tar Heels work off the ball. Don't be surprised on some of these exchanges. You pick up the second or third ball if you're Duke, immediately looking for those 30-yard diagonals to stretch the field, kill time, and retain possession on the opposite end.
Kabusu. Bjornsson chugging. Hustle's been there from Bjornsson tonight. It hasn't fallen for the striker yet, at least, to find a goal. What has been a drought since he scored 2 against Pitt. Now, 4 weeks ago. Sito. Kabusu brought down. Under 10. Duke already hosting a game this week. It's just a question of opponent. North Carolina need to come back and win if they want to get above that line of demarcation and host a game of their own this week. Number 15 teams all make the tournament. The number 1 seed Virginia gets a bye. Next 7 all host in the opening round. Bottom 7 go on the road. The teams in the top 4, so beyond Virginia, it's Stanford, NC State, and Clemson. As the handball is called here, those teams know that they will not travel until or unless it's to carry for the last 4 of the ACC championships. That's the bonus of ending up top 4. Even if you fall short of number 1, Duke had a chance at top 4 tonight, but they needed a Clemson loss. The Tigers tied in their match against Virginia Tech, 3-3. Free kick carved ahead. Good ball that time. Sandmeyer right to Demora. Brilliant service in from Luka Nikolai to the 6'6" midfielder.
Nikolai and Drew Kerr have been spot on from dead ball situations all night long. But the amount of pace that you have to hit this from distance, very difficult. Clean, calm save. Sandmeyer on the back end of this. Good news is for the Tar Heels, first threat we've seen in about 15 minutes.
Can he do it again, Nikolai? It's a little further back this time. Subs will come first. That'll be all for Antonelius. Lucas Ross takes his spot. First we're seeing of him here tonight. Antonelius made his first start tonight. Filled in admirably. Now from the free kick, another good service from Nikolai, but out for a goal kick. 8 to play. Duke will be in no hurry. Keep an eye on Nick Balser, the referee, to see if he'll give the signal to stop the clock if he at any point feels Duke is intentionally taking extra time off the clock, as he did moments ago when Drew Kerr bent over to tie his shoe down on the corner. Sandmeyer's winning that one 10 times out of 10. Frogson. All the way back for Cortez, chased by Bjornsson. A lot of contact there, another free kick. Acito sees yellow.
The rest of the way, it's going to be about individual battles, especially with the defensive change that we've seen out of the Duke Blue Devils, creating a lot more one-on-one situations. Comfort on weak side support to be able to step up, but also drop in and help out defensively. All the more reason, Joe Walt, you want to be a little bit more direct. You don't have to go A to Z. But when you start to spread the width of the field, play it a little bit more in front, allow your player to attack that space as opposed to playing in behind, back turned, and forcing them to retain possession all the time. The best thing North Carolina can do right now is turn up the heat.
They got something in Dan Klink, though, by the way, going forward. The freshman from Moncton, Maryland, making his 10th appearance tonight, has 4 goals. 3 of them came in a hat trick against St. Thomas, 1 in ACC play against Virginia Tech. Short from the free kick. Now fed back to Luka Nikolai. Nikolai cutting in. Nikolai had it blocked. Comes out to check. He floats it towards Sandmeyer. Cleared by Kerr. Proxon. My apologies, quick and important correction. It's my bad. UNC can still get to a home game this week with a tie. They do own that tiebreaker on Notre Dame. My fault on that one. So they just need 1 goal here in the closing 6.5 minutes in order to get that. Oh, he had a lot of scenarios coming in the day. I was bound to mess one up. Important one late. Sorry about that. 6 to go. UNC need a goal.
I never would have. I'm willing to don a lot of costumes on Halloween. Masquerading as a play-by-play is not one of them.
You leave that to
limits,
me.
Joe.
You leave the math to me. I leave the opinions that get you in trouble with the coaches to you.
It's perfect.
It's a good marriage.
Duke just wants it more right now. Every single ball, whether they're connecting a 5-yard, chasing down into the corner, work right off. Great example. What a step by Kerr.
Space for Kerr. Bjornsson taken down away from the play. Kerr has nobody to play it to. It's brought back for a free kick. Bjornsson was brought down. Free kick in a great spot. And that is a yellow for Dylan Kropp. It's still his first. He had moments in the first half where he could have picked one up, and those loom large now. He was in hot water in that first half. Duke was not happy that he got away without getting a card in that first half, and that looms large because they could have been down a man.
What a step by Kerr. I mean, the way that he read it on the far side of the field as it made its way in. Now, this contact initially started on the opposite end, but clear as day, right side of your screen, contact between Kropp and Bjornsson. Look, taking your time, checking on your star striker who has struggled for goals, making sure his health overall is where you want it to be. Falls awkwardly.
Actually, looks like he's favoring his
elbow.
arm.
Yeah.
He's been a trooper tonight. He's battled through a lot of contact in a physical rivalry game.
You and I were just talking about how Duke just in the moment, they want it more. Sitting on the 1-goal lead, first to every single ball, winning every tackle, the second, the third. You know, that infraction started on the far side, but as the rotation comes through the middle to the near touchline, Drew Kerr read this a mile away, knew exactly where it was going. This is the tendency all night long. The ball into the right winger. Drew Kerr not having it, said the ground coverage. One of the best things he has in his back pocket. From the first whistle all the way to the 85th minute, the kid doesn't have an off switch. What a moment. It's one of those things that's not going to show up on any stat sheet outside of the foul, but something that when you walk into the dressing room, the manager, which in this situation just happens to be his father, is going to be that much more appreciative of.
He'll be even more appreciative if he finishes this off, if it's his. We've seen Alessandro Arlotti strike a ball well this year on a free kick. It's either Arlotti with the right foot or Kerr with the left. It is Drew Kerr! Punctuating the evening for Duke!
Had to be. Everything that has been for this young man this year. The 4-year journey. The namesake. The legend at Duke that continues to grow. Father to son. The sideline to the upper corner. Drew Kerr, an unreal display all year long, capped off by what is the dagger on the night for the Tar Heels and the beacon at the end of the dock that will lead them into postseason play.
There's nobody get hurt down in that pile there. You had Kenan Hott get his ankle caught with somebody else. Their shoelaces got tangled. Hott went to ground after you just saw Bjornsson come off, but he's back out there now. He'll stay healthy, but a just celebration to a brilliant moment for Drew Kerr. It's his first of the season, his 8th at Duke. Remember, this year he has shifted to a left back role instead of playing in the 10. So the goals have gone away while the assists have remained. Here he is defensively committing a foul. But it's first and probably last of the regular season before tournament time comes this week. And all that started, remember, when he won the ball defensively, his dad's all smiles. Sometimes the dad hat comes on as much as the coach hat. He has to be beaming with pride in a moment like that. And Meyer flicks it on, not out of the woods yet. Ross is there, keeps it in play. Ross lays it off. Tar Heels looking to respond. Just over 4 to play. This situation, Devin, was different, but this is going to be back-to-back years for North Carolina where they lose on the final day of the season. And last year, it really torpedoed things for them. Last year, going into the last day of the season for Carlos Somoano, they controlled destiny. If they won the game, they were the 2 seed in the tournament. They lost. Then they go into the tournament, dropping down a few spots in the seedings. They lose to Cal. Matchup would have been different had they won that game against Boston College, who were in last place and winless in the conference going into decision day. And then after losing their first game of the conference tournament, they lost their first game of the NCAA tournament, and their season was over. And it's looking like a repeat of that here on the last day of the season for the Tar Heels. The flip side of that argument, while UNC lost last year at the end and limped into tournament time and were quickly ousted from there, Duke also last year had quick exits in their respective tournaments in the ACC and in the NCAA tournament. They were one and done in both, but they went into that on an 11-match unbeaten run. A lot of that was fool's gold. A lot of low RPI opponents, games they really should have won and were not really ever tested. They had a 12-match unbeaten run to begin this season, Devin, and we were talking a lot about that similar fool's gold aspect. They follow that 12-match unbeaten run with a 5-match winless run. So now reversing their fortunes again, ending on a high note going into tournament time.
3 of the final 4 games were against opponents top 30 in RPI, which included Clemson. Certainly the match tonight against
North Carolina.
Unfortunately for them, they just couldn't produce anything, right? It seemed like every single direction that they turned, they struggled for results overall. Listen, there's a way that you look at it, and certainly you have to go with the overall RPI. I'm here for it. But when you throw an NC State into the mix, you throw a Clemson, you throw a North Carolina, that's a very different conversation than when you're looking at Boston College, Averett, Howard, plain and simple. Yes, home and away are going to come into it. But the quality of what you are seeing, not just within the starting 11, but the roster overall, over 90 minutes every single week. It's a big difference. So this is going to carry more weight. When you walk into that locker room, the guys are going to feel it more if you're wearing a Blue Devils jersey. You're going to know that you've just pulled yourself out, not from under a rock or the bottom of the river. You were being dredged onto the sideline of what was a terrible path that was going to feel very similar to what we've seen in the past couple of years, especially guys like Kenan. Not anymore. Now you're providing a real spirit for a group that early on in the season, opponent or not, was untouchable.
How about the guys who stepped up, though, again tonight? We talk about the leadership. Senior Kenan, senior Drew Kerr, providing the 2 goals in their last instance in the rivalry, unless these teams meet in the tournament.
It's almost as if we should have talked about it at halftime.
Maybe. Bjornsson, why not, trying from midfield? Ends up well wide, but at this point it's all ornamental. 30 seconds left. Duke up 2-0. 101st meeting between these programs. 52 North Carolina wins. About to be 38 Duke wins, 11 ties. Last 20 years have been dominant for UNC. Countdown from 10. Lurched forward. Cleared away. And that will do it on the ACC men's soccer regular season. It finishes with the best of all the rivalries, and it finishes with Duke 2-0 over North Carolina.